Hence, he initiated Islam, he founded Islam. In the second instance, he was to appear in Islam, yet was to be told by the mullahs of the time that you are no longer Muslim, no, you are not a Muslim. So this is why the Holy Quran immediately, in context of his second appearance, tells us, وَهُوَ يُدْعَى إِلَى الْإِسْلَامِ. And do they believe that such a person who is being called towards Islam and who says he is from God and Allah speaks to him, there is a more greater transgressor than he himself? If so, then Allah must destroy totally such a person. That is the argument mentioned in the Holy Quran. So that argument applies to Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu, not to Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But that manifestation is the second manifestation, not the first manifestation. Because of this confusion, many people, Ahmadis, instead of digesting the whole thing as a whole, begin to divide it into two. Some take side, some take one position as against some others who take the other position, and go on discussing unnecessarily, debating hotly the issue whether it is Hazrat Masih Maud who is mentioned or Hazrat is mentioned. Hazrat Masih Maud cannot be mentioned unless it is Hazrat who is first mentioned, because he has no separate existence. Whatever he gained was from Hazrat, whatever he shows is a reflection of Hazrat. So whatever Rasul Kareem did have was remanifested in Masih Maud. So if he didn't have initially Ahmadiyyat and was not prophesied as such, how could Hazrat Masih Maud come into being at all? Is that what you wanted to understand? But yet you are not satisfied fully. This is what I have told you. No, there is no difference of opinion. There is no difference of opinion. The first is by Moses and the second is by Hazrat Masih. Hazrat Masih was to speak. Now again there is a beauty in this. Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so great that he could not be fully comprehended, entirely comprehended either by Moses or by Hazrat Isa alayhi salatu. Moses understood him only that much, which was closer to him in personality and character and appearance and so on. The rest he could not understand because it's too much for him. Hazrat Isa alayhi salatu understood to him in his own mirror. He could conceive of him only as an Ahmad, mild and gentle and loving, and not bringing a new Sharia, not permitting his followers to fight back when they are attacked and so on and so forth. So he saw him in his own mirror, which was a limited mirror. But both put together made Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam as such. The combination of both Muhammadiyat and Ahmadiyyat. Unless you understand that character of Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will never be able to understand these verses. Yes, Sajjad.
Could you explain why Islam is not an ism? Why it is not an ism?
Well, you may ask me the next question, why every ism is not Islam? What do you mean by ism? First of all, define ism, then I'll tell you why.
Because once somebody asked a question, is Islam Islamism, and Islam replied, Islam called an ism. I couldn't understand it, I wanted to.
Do you understand ism? Because this question could not have come to your mind unless you thought you understood the word ism. And that understanding of ism in your mind tallied with the concept of Islam so perfectly that you were left wondering when it was denied that Islam was no longer, not an ism. What is an ism? Please? No, I'm asking you. Because unless you know what ism is, you can't ask this question. So I want to understand from you. Please let us know what ism is.
I would have to look in the dictionary.
So first go and see into dictionary, then if the question remains, then come and ask.
I have another question.
All right. Shall we bring the dictionary here? Yes, please, go on.
You once said that anybody who received the message of Ahmadiyya and had not accepted it would not be allowed to enter heaven.
Huh?
Would not be allowed to enter heaven.
Who said that?
Am I correct in this?
You're wrong.
Wrong. Well, my question is...
both your questions. Yes, all right. Yes, please, Mr. Adu. You also want? Yes. Shall we put your name along with Mr. Bashir Hayat and Abdul Rashid and so on, in the same bracket? So that your seat is reserved every time, right? Good. Yes, please, Mr.
Those two people who were Nabi Yusuf in prison and had a dream, asked for the interpretation of their dream. One was told that what his dream had been decreed. When it was explained to him, it was followed by this, that the dream had been decreed.
What are the words? What are the words you are referring to?
In Surah to the music,
of course.
None of the Holy Quran, but I read it just 2 days ago again.
What I mean to say is, first of all, you refer to the Arabic text. Where is it mentioned that it is decreed? So from that, we will proceed from there on. Keeping in view the original word of the Holy Quran, we'll discuss this matter further, right? I'm not denying it, but I want to understand. I want to focus my attention on that particular word which is used. हाफिज साहब हैं? तस्तफ्तियान वाली जो आयत है ना, हाँ एग्जैक्टली ठीक है, राइट. So this is what is why I wanted to find out the exact word. Quziyah here refers to Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam's act of explaining these dreams. Here tastaftiyan. You know, the word decree here does not refer to Allah, that Allah has so decreed. Quziyah means to settle an issue. It can also mean a thing decreed. Quziyah al-amr also means that matter is resolved, the matter is settled. So here Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam is addressing those two gentlemen who asked the meaning of their dream, and tells them, now that I have told them the interpretation, this issue has been resolved. The issue about which you were asking questions, this has been positively mentioned. The issue on which you wanted to find an answer has now been resolved. That is, I have explained everything, so that's all.
So then I have the meaning that...
this is wrong, yes.
Then it's
So your question also drops, huh?